I had my picture of what I thought homeschooling would look like. And I had gone to all these homeschool conferences. And I was like, yes, I am going to make my homeschool look just like that. And it's going to be beautiful. And you could we're going to be a poster family for homeschooling. And then you're like, this is impossible.
Hey everyone, this is Yvette Hampton. Welcome back to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. I am back for day 2 of my interview with Kristi Clover from the Homegrown Generation Family Expo. This session was titled Sanity Savers for Homeschool Moms. And I know you are probably already being so encouraged because if you're listening now, I'm sure you already listened to Monday's episode. If you missed it, go back and listen to Monday to part 1 of my interview with Kristi. It was so good and so helpful. She has so many good tips for how to just keep our sanity in our homeschooling. But before we get back into our conversation with Kristi, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, BJU Press Homeschool. Do you guys want help managing your homeschool on a day-to-day basis? The BJU Press Homeschool Hub is the resource you need for painless planning and happy homeschooling. Visit bjupresshomeschool.com to see how the hub can change your homeschooling. Now enjoy part 2 of my interview with Kristi Clover.
It is amazing how things get done when mom is like, well, we're going to have to wait until tomorrow. And they're like, I'm going to be behind. I'm like, well, possibly.
So let me ask you a quick question on that point.
Yes.
Obviously, if your kids are going to work independently on something, at what age do they start doing that? And how do you teach your kids to work independently? Because it doesn't just happen by accident. That is a practice that has to be taught to them.
Yes. Yeah. So we start as early as possible. So anything from penmanship. I actually keep penmanship as part of our curriculum because it's actually part of how I train them to be independent, is that penmanship they can pretty much always do on their own for the most part. I might have to show them, okay, we're going to form your A like this. But once you've gone through it a few times, then they get it down. So the key there is that I'm trying to find things that they can do. So whether it's a math problem, so I might read through it, help them set up a few of their word problems, help them there. And then that becomes independent work. So even though it's something that as a whole, it's mom required, if I've taught them what they need to know for that chunk of work and that whatever they can do on their own after that, that becomes independent work. And so sometimes it's a back and forth. So oftentimes, obviously when your kids are now if the pre-readers require the most work. So right now, my 14-year-old is 100% independent other than a spelling test, or editing a paper. My 11-year-old who is officially in 5th grade, kind of 5th, 6th, it's all kind of blended, right? You want to confuse a homeschool kid, ask them what grade they're in. Right. But she is almost she's right there. She's so close. But she also it's a style thing. So it's not just an age thing and a maturity thing. It's a style. She is she loves checklists, which I'm one.
A 5.
One of 5. I'm yay. But then my youngest who's 9, she'll do it, but it's if fun calls, then she's going to go answer to whatever's fun. And so if the other siblings are done, then she'll go off and run and play with them. And I'm like, wait. We didn't finish this. So it's a balance and it changes constantly. That's the thing that I've learned in these 15 years plus of homeschooling is that every kid's different. Yeah. Every season is different. You can't just create something and expect it to stay. So I have, sometimes just a year might be different where we've got, lots of independent learning happening because they can handle it. But then maybe we switch a curriculum and now suddenly it requires more help. So that's a hard question to answer because it's so different for every kid.
Yes. Yeah.
And your curriculum will lead that too, because if you have a video-based curriculum, well, they can hit play and that I would consider independent from that moment.
Because they don't need you for that.
Video. Exactly.
Yes.
So if they can do something without me, so then they're watching the math video, I help with grammar over here. And then it's okay, next kid, watching the math video. And then I help over here with writing, so it's it's a lot of going back and forth. So I'm just kind of in the room and kind of who needs me next?
Yeah. It's awesome.
So, yeah.
I love that. Okay. So we've got keep your knees dirty, eliminate morning mayhem.
Yep.
What was the next one?
Creating routines.
Oh, creating routines. Okay.
Yep. And then the next one is to simplify. And this is hard for me at first because I had my picture of what I thought homeschooling would look like. And I had gone to all these homeschool conferences and I was like, yes, I am going to make my homeschool look just like that. And it's going to be beautiful. And you could we're going to be a poster family for homeschooling. And then you're like, this is impossible. And I have too much curriculum. And what was I thinking? And like, what do you mean my kids aren't like on it all the time? I mean, they have their own, what do you mean? Like me too. Like, it's not just my kids. Sometimes I'm like, I need a break. So I'm the one that I'm like, well, we'll do history tomorrow. But, like, so there's moments like that. But for me, it was learning how to be practical in what we were doing. So anything from just prioritizing. So what do we really need to get done today? What not curriculum, but what subjects are a priority for us to get done? So obviously Bible, like there's days where I'm like, did we do Bible today? And I'm like, that's the most important thing. And so we might do it in the evening. But trying to find curriculum that simplifies is probably one of my first steps. So I've had to change our curriculum a lot through the years, because even some that seemed in one season to be a really great choice, as we got, as kids got older and we were adding kids to the mix, I'm like, this is no longer easy because it's requiring too much of me. So I do try to look for curriculum that is a little bit easier to do, or more independent in its style. And if it's not, then I'll switch mid-year if I have to, because it's not worth it to me to have my kids frustrated. And sometimes they're frustrated because they are not understanding a concept and we need to go over it. And sometimes it's a wrong fit. So I think you need to not be, overwhelmed
so married
with that.
to it.
Yeah, exactly. And like one of my little things is, you need to embrace the Mary mentality in a Martha Stewart world. So, whether it's your home or your homeschool, like you just need to prioritize things and you can't get to everything. So there's going to be days when it's like, okay, so laundry is a mountain now. And so we need to get on top of this. And so today we're going to learn math and color sorting, doing laundry. So how many things can you fold today? Let's count. But homeschooling really does become a lifestyle in many ways, but we do have to learn priorities. And sometimes that priority is to take a break. Like right now, with my dad's health crisis, like we've had to take breaks where it's really hard because I'm like, are we getting behind? I'm like, we're not behind because I'm going to prioritize what's most important and we're going to skip things. And that's where I like to tell people about the power of the X. A lot of curriculum comes with checklists, and it's okay not to do it. I have friends who are in the public school arena as far as being teachers and just, counselors, and all of them will tell you, if they're being honest, they don't finish curriculum. They don't. And so it's important to give yourself that grace in your homeschool as well.
Yeah. We need that as moms. And I think we often need to hear, like, it's okay to put something down if it's not working for you. And sometimes we feel like, we've spent so much money on this and it's just not working. It's okay. Sell it. There's so many places on the internet you can sell it, or bless another family with it who it will work for, and move on, do something else. Totally. It's not worth the stress of continuing on with it. I mean, we've had situations where, like, we've even been in a co-op where we got halfway through the year and we're just like, you know what? These people are great, but it's just not working for us. And so we pulled out of that co-op halfway through the year. And that was tough to do, but I just thought, I don't want to waste the next 5 months doing what's not working. And so that's tough. But yes, I think it's important to just know your family, know how your kids learn. And it's a learning process still. I mean, we're in year 12 of homeschooling. And even now I'm finding things with my oldest that I'm just like, that's not working so well. Let's switch gears. And that's okay, because we're homeschooling. We have the freedom to be able to do that. And we want to cater the education to our kids to best suit them and their learning styles and our teaching style.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that really the best picture of what this looks like in action is, I do whatever I can with my kids, and I have to trust God to multiply it. It's kind of my loaves and fishes type of thing, where it's like, Lord, this is what we can get done today. Yeah. This is what we can get done this year. Lord, will you fill in the gaps? Will you overflow? Will you take care of all of the other things that need to get done? And it's amazing how faithful He is. And that's what we forget. God is so faithful, and you don't have to cover every single thing in your homeschool for God to faithfully fill in those gaps. Because you know what? Ultimately, we're not trying to raise Einsteins. I mean, great. Education is important, but the heart is so much more important. So what's the cliche thing, like character over academics? You know, all those, there's all these cute little homeschool cliches that we can say, but ultimately, I want to raise great people. I want my kids. I mean, I can't even tell you what it's like to have a married son. Like, to see him as a husband is just the most beautiful thing ever. Like, I can't even explain it, and I can't wait for the day for him to be a dad. But those are two of the greatest roles he will ever play in his life. And those are the things that I realize that my kids, yes, they have an opportunity to learn in our home, but they're watching us. They're watching my husband. They're watching me. They're watching our dynamics. They're watching how we serve. They're watching everything. And so we're teaching them how to handle life. And that is of greater importance. Like, I hope that they can, balance a checkbook, but you know what? There are apps for that. So
I was going to say, you know what? You learn those things. I mean, I when I look back at my childhood and my adult life, I knew a lot. My parents taught me a lot, and I didn't feel ill prepared going into adulthood, but Garrett and I had just turned 20 when we got married. We were super young.
So like my son.
Yeah. And there were so many things I was like, I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know how to pay bills, really. And you know what? I figured it out very quickly. You just learn those things, but homeschooling is preparing our kids for life. And there are going to be gaps. Like you said, there's going to be things that we're going to forget to teach them, or it's just things that we just don't do on our own, intentionally teach them. They're going to figure it out if they need to know it.
Totally.
Our kids are smart. And that's part of being an adult, is you learn the things that you need to learn. Have you tried CTC Math yet with your child? Here's a testimonial from another happy homeschool mom. Amber said, "I'm absolutely thrilled with CTC Math. It's a rare find that I've used with my children for more than 5 years now. I have 6 children using CTC Math, and each child has found it easy to navigate and very applicable. Thank you so much for all that you are doing in providing quality math lessons for my children." If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com. That's ctcmath.com. Are you looking for a homeschool curriculum that goes beyond textbooks and truly engages your children in the joy of learning? Apologia's award-winning curriculum is written by homeschool parents to specifically meet your needs and captivate your students with hands-on activities and experiments that make learning unforgettable. With an easy-to-follow, open-and-go format, Apologia takes the stress out of planning and provides a simple roadmap that can easily be tailored to your family's needs. Explore live classes or self-paced courses designed to accommodate every student's unique learning style. Elevate your child's education, spark their curiosity, and nurture a lifelong love for learning with Apologia. Discover Apologia today at apologia.com. Okay, so we've got keep your needs dirty, eliminate morning mayhem, create a routine, simplify.
You're kicking on it. Yes. You're like, and number 5.
There's more.
Oh, wait. That's right. Infomercial. But this one is an important one. And it's to stop the comparison game. Stop comparing. You are unique. Your kids are unique. And as we've already talked about, we are all going to have different strengths and we're all going to have different weaknesses. And usually what we are showing the world is our strength. And that's all fine and dandy, but it's okay. Like we don't have to, because when I see you doing something amazing, then I'm looking at my weakness. I'm looking at your strength and I'm identifying my weakness in that moment. And that's what we do everywhere. So if there is one thing that I really want to encourage people in, is stop playing the comparison game. It is not healthy. It is not helpful. And it's just going to drive you insane. I mean, that honestly is probably one of the biggest sanity savers. Because just, I have like one of my best friends. She's always just like, well, I wish I was a homeschool mom like you. I'm like, Are you kidding me? I'm like, we have gaps, we have stuff, we have times when we chill out, we have times when we're racing and keeping up. But ultimately, I'm trying to tailor things around, my kids' strengths. So that's what I love about homeschooling is that my oldest is a gifted writer and he loves reading. So we just kind of let him do his thing there. We made sure that we filled in other little gaps here and there with, the other subjects. My second is like a phenomenal photographer. And so we were really trying to help him to flourish in that area, helped him with some different marketing things. And, and then again, like brought in some of the other academics. So it's amazing to see like when you become a student of your child and are really looking at how can I help them to really, to strengthen their strengths, then you're not, I don't want to, your children are wonderful, but like I am called, my calling is to raise my children. And I can't do that looking at your kids and what they're doing. And so that is, it's important. It's important in every area of our life. Someone is always going to be better dressed. They're going to be, look more put together. They're going to have a better house. They're going to have a better car. They're going to have a better routine. They're going to just do things. People are always going to do things better than you in your own mind, but they're probably looking at you for the same thing. And that's what we have to be aware of too, is that like, God has blessed all of us. And we need to look to him for what does he call us to do each day and stop looking at everybody else. So that's my, like, I'm turning 50 soon and there's your advice. So stop comparing.
It's so much harder today because of stinking social media. It didn't used to, it has always been a thing. I mean, truly, it's always been a thing. I mean, the Bible talks about that, but now we've got it in front of us. And like you said, people always put their best foot forward. Yeah. And so you see all these people popping up with these beautiful pictures and their beautiful homes and their beautiful meals that they've made and their vacations. And you're like, man, I sure wish I had a house that looked like that. I wish I had kids who were put together like that. And it is so hard to let go of that. But I'm telling you, that is Satan's attack on us. That's Satan telling us, you're not good enough, Mom. You're not pretty enough. You're not organized enough. You're not clean enough. You're not all the things. You're just not good enough. And oftentimes it's him saying, you should just put your kids back in school. Yeah. You would be doing better if you just put them back in school because you're not doing this homeschool thing right. All those other people are doing it right. You're doing it wrong. So why don't you just give up on this? And the Lord is saying, no. Like you said, he's going to help us through this. He's here with us. And so he will give us what we need and equip us to do what he's called us to do.
Oh, absolutely. And quite frankly, here, I'm going to get my little soapbox.
Do it, girl.
It's funny because it's like you hear like all the terms like, influencer, advocate, all this stuff. And I'm like, we are living in a day and an age where honestly, if you brought your kids home from school and did nothing more than eat popcorn and watch like, Veggie Tales all day long, you are doing a better job with your kids than having them in public school.
Amen.
Public school is a toxic environment.
Yes.
And I think that I've been more careful at talking about that in the past than now because they are showing their cards.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot believe I live in a conservative area. Granted, I'm in California, but I live in a conservative part of California. Yeah. And I don't care what your neighborhood is, what your school is. There is so much out there. The enemy is after your kids. They're after your marriage and they're after your family. The enemy knows that if he can destroy the family, he can destroy a community. So that is the thing, is that if you just stay focused on that, trust me, you are doing a better job than you think. If you have your kids home with you, I mean, there are times when I'm like, oh, maybe our kids like, they don't have enough friends. Like there's all those like, maybe that's the socialization thing, like, which now I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I do not want them in that social environment.
Right.
Thank you, but no, thank you. But I'm like, you know what? It's okay because God is going to like cover it all. And right now we more than ever have to be protectors of our kids because again, we have seen I can't believe how blatant it is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we had in our little tiny like sweet community here, we had drag queen things happening at the local school district.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it became this outrage. And that was the thing that everyone's like, why are you homeschooling? You know, like it's such a, you know, like there's nothing going on in our schools. I'm like, it takes one crazy, you know, family to move into town that demands their right to be heard.
Yeah.
And so we have Satanist groups, we have, you know, full on just abominations happening in school.
Yeah.
And if you want your kids to grow up loving the Lord and to know the truth of his word, there is no knowledge outside of God. The
Amen.
Bible is very clear that the, you know, beginning of knowledge is in the fear of the Lord.
Yeah.
And so we need to teach that, because we teach our kids to read because they need to read the word of God.
Right. Yeah.
We need to teach them math because God is logical and he's created this beautiful, you know, creation for us to look at. So you look at any science, like I laugh, I'm a science major. You cannot look at any of the sciences and not see God's hand. He designed it all. So that, if you come at your homeschooling with that in mind, again, like soapbox all the way, but it is worth it. It is worth homeschooling. It is worth just protecting your family. You are the protector. And so if you take that on and take off all of the junk the enemy is trying to throw at you to make you feel like you're a bad mom, you need to step away from that and just call it out an all-out lie. And just remember who you are in Christ. And that is what you're called to do.
I hope you enjoyed this interview with Kristi Clover from the 2023 Homegrown Generation Family Expo. It's not too late to register. Go to homegrowngeneration.com. Use the coupon code podcast to save 25% off of registration. Join us tomorrow for the last part of my interview with Kristi. Until then, have a great afternoon.
Laughing in the face of imposter syndrome and coming to you from the epicenter of manly overconfidence, I'm your host, Garrett Hampton, and you are listening to The Thinking Dad.
Even if we're able to push the evildoers and the totalitarians back for another generation, maybe if we work really hard, maybe even 2 generations, if they've got the young people, it's over.
I often think about Daniel's parents, who you don't hear anything about. But they must have laid down the foundation for Daniel to be able to go into Babylon and not fall.
We're in that very beginning part of the cycle for tough times. We've been fat and happy. We've been enjoying we're lazy because we enjoy so much freedom. We got all these blessings, and why would you go do the hard work? And so for a long time now, decades, we haven't had to do the hard work. We've been living on the fumes of previous generations paying the price. And we got to raise the bar and say, I'm willing to give more of my life, that's my time, more of my money, of course, that's our fortune, and more of my sacred honor, which is my reputation. I'm willing to put it all on the line. Every single one of us has to be willing to do that.
Join us for the first season of The Thinking Dad at thinkinggdad.net.
It's really easy to get lost in the world of homeschooling as a mom. So as a mom, it's important to get time, whether it's finding a hobby or spending time with friends or just kind of going. I mean, for me, sometimes I just need to go for a walk on my own, and I laugh because the kids are like, can we come? And I'm like, not today. Tomorrow, but not today. Mommy just needs a little bit of space to finish my thoughts. But it's really important not to get lost in the realm of mothering.